In 2026, the internet isn't just under our streets and cables, it's literally wrapped around our planet like a glowing net. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's the reality of a global network that has fundamentally changed how we connect, work, and live. For decades, the dream of universal internet was just that, a dream. Remote villages, ships at sea, planes in the sky, they were all digital deserts. But that's all changing, and it's happening hundreds of miles above our heads. So, how did we go from clunky, slow satellite dishes to a system that can beat fiber optics at their own game? How does this massive web of flying computers actually work? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the engineering marvel that is Starlink and how it's building the internet of the future right now. To understand why Starlink is such a game changer, you first need to understand the old way of doing things. For years, satellite internet came from what are called geostationary or geosatellites. Imagine a single, massive satellite parked in a very specific spot in the sky. 22,000 miles above the Earth! Because it's so far away, it moves at the exact same speed the Earth rotates. So, from our perspective, it looks like it's standing still. This was great for things like satellite TV because you could point your dish once and forget it. But for internet, it was a disaster. The problem is, simple physics, the speed of light. Even traveling at 186,000 miles per second, a signal has to travel 22,000 miles up and 22,000 miles back down. That round trip takes about half a second. We call that delay latency, and it's what makes video calls stutter, online games unplayable, and even basic web browsing feel sluggish. Starlink's solution was radical. Instead of one satellite far away, they launched thousands of them close by. They operate in low Earth orbit, or LEO, just about 300 miles up. It asks the difference between shouting to someone across an entire city versus shouting to them across a football field. The signal's travel time is slashed from 500 milliseconds down to just 20 or 30. That's as good as, and sometimes even better than, the ground-based fiber internet many of us use in cities. But having satellites so close creates a new problem. They are no longer stationary. They're whipping around the planet at over 17,000 miles per hour, completing a full orbit in about 90 minutes. So how do you stay connected to something moving that fast? That's where the magic really begins. Let's talk about the satellites themselves, because these are not the simple mirrors in the sky of the past. The latest generation, the V3 satellites, are absolute giants. Each one weighs to tons. That's as much as an SUV, and when its solar wings unfold, it's as wide as a city bus. These aren't just bouncing signals. They are flying supercomputers and data centers. Compared to the models launched just a few years ago, these new satellites pack 10 times the processing power and bandwidth. They have to manage thousands of user connections on the ground while simultaneously talking to other satellites in the sky. Each one is a sophisticated node in a massive, constantly moving network, rerouting data packets on the fly to find the most efficient path back to Earth. This is what allows the system to handle millions of users at once, delivering high-speed, low-latency internet almost anywhere on the planet. Now for the secret weapon, the feature that allows Starlink to literally outrun traditional internet lasers. This is the vacuum hack. On Earth, our fastest internet travels through fiber optic cables, which are incredibly thin strands of glass. Light zips through them. But here's the catch. Light slows down when it travels through a medium like glass. In the pure vacuum of space, however, light travels at its true maximum speed, about 47% faster than in a fiber cable. Starlink satellites are equipped with advanced laser links. They use these lasers to shoot data to each other, creating a high-speed mesh network in orbit. Imagine you're in London and you want to send data to New York. With traditional fiber, that data has to zigzag across the Atlantic through undersea cables. With Starlink, the signal goes up to a satellite, then zips across the Atlantic from satellite to satellite via laser at nearly the speed of light in a vacuum, and then comes back down in New York. This space-based route can actually be faster than the most direct fiber optic path on the ground. So the network in the sky is incredibly advanced, but how does it connect to you in your home? This is where your dish comes in, and it's just as clever as the satellites it talks to. The new generation of Starlink dishes are flat, solid panels with no moving parts. You just set it down with a clear view of the sky, and it works. But wait, If the satellites are constantly moving, how does the dish track them without physically moving itself? The answer is an amazing piece of technology called a phased array antenna. Think of it like a choir. If all the singers sing at the same time, the sound goes straight out. But if the singers on the right delay their voices by a fraction of a second, the combined sound wave will be steered to the left without anyone taking a single step. Your dish contains hundreds of tiny antennas that do the exact same thing with radio waves. By precisely controlling the timing of the signals from each tiny antenna, it can create a highly focused beam and electronically steer it to lock onto a satellite, track it as it flies overhead, and then seamlessly switch to the next satellite coming over the horizon, all in milliseconds and all without a single moving part. And the technology keeps evolving. The big breakthrough for 2026 is direct. This changes everything again. 4 years. If you wanted to use Starlink, you needed that special dish. But now, Starlink is launching satellites with advanced antennas that can talk directly to the standard for G and 5G phone already in your pocket. You don't need any new hardware. These satellites effectively act as giant, orbiting cell towers. If you're a hiker in a remote canyon, a sailor in the middle of the ocean, or a driver broken down in a cellular dead zone, your phone can now connect directly to a satellite for basic service. Initially, this is for texting and emergency calls, providing a crucial safety net where none existed before. It means that as long as you can see the sky, you're never truly disconnected. It's the final piece of the puzzle for truly global connectivity. Of course, when you talk about launching thousands of satellites, a big question comes up. What about space junk? A sky full of dead satellites is a huge risk for future space missions. Starlink tackled this problem head-on by making a critical design choice. In 2026, the entire constellation operates at a very low altitude. This is a brilliant safety feature. At this height, there's still a tiny amount of atmospheric drag. It's not much, but over time, it's enough to pull a satellite down. So, if a satellite fails or reaches the end of its life, it doesn't just become another piece of junk. The Earth's own atmosphere acts like a giant, passive cleanup system. Gravity and atmospheric drag will naturally pull the satellite lower and lower until it re-enters the atmosphere and completely burns up, just like a shooting star. This ensures that the orbits are kept clear for future generations. It's a self-cleaning system built into the very design of the network. So, when you put it all together, what you have is nothing short of a revolution. A swarm of low-flying supercomputer satellites that talk to each other with lasers faster than fiber, all while being tracked by a smart dish on the ground that has no moving parts. It's a system that cleans up after itself and is now starting to talk directly to our phones. Starlink has turned the sky into a giant, intelligent router for the entire planet. Whether you're on a remote farm, a research vessel in the Arctic, or a plane flying at 30,000 feet, the digital divide is closing. The dream of connecting every corner of the world is no longer a distant vision. It's a glowing reality lighting up our night sky. The world is finally, truly connected. Thanks for watching! And if you found this look into the future of the internet interesting, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the technology that shapes our world.